Hi crafters, welcome back to another segment of KISS, Keep It Simple Sylvia. Today is a brand new month, the month of May, and we're going to be learning all about glue. What we need for today's episode is a hot glue gun. Now it can be a low temp or a high temp. It can be a simple little one like this, or it can be one of those fancy ones that have got the real thin little nozzle on it. But whatever, we need hot glue for this. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to make some of your own stencils. This is just so much fun. I'm using a craft sheet here. I find that this works really good because there's two ways that we can do stencils. And I'm going to show you one where we flatten them. And that's best to use if you're using a jelly plate or if you're going to be like rolling paint over it because it'll make it flat and makes it easier. So let's get started. I'm just going to make a simple little heart. I'm just going to drizzle my hot glue into the shape of a heart. Isn't that cute? Okay, now, while this is still wet and hot, I'm going to fold my craft sheet over, and I've got a hook. And I'm just going to lay that on it and just press lightly, because what I want to do is I want to flatten that glue down. So it's got a nice flat surface for using on like the jelly plate, or if you've got to use a roller to roll over it or whatever. If you're going to like use spray paints on it or inks or anything, you can keep it domed. But I like to do this because I know I'm going to be using the stencil for other means. And then once it's dry, which means it's no longer hot, then we can peel this away. So I'm going to pause while I let it dry. Okay, crafters, it's dry now, so let's peel this apart. I'm going to peel the sheet off and peel this off. Now you can see that it flattened it, and it's kind of cute. Now if you don't like something about it, like it's got these little things, fillies on it, and then like this end right here, I don't happen to like that. You can take your scissors and you can trim it up. You can cut them, do whatever you want to. You know, thin this down, whatever. So now we've got a nice little flat heart that we can either keep like it is, or the nice thing about glues, you can always add to it. So let's do that. Let's add to this little heart. And we'll just put another little heart over on the side. I just want to show you that when you work with hot glue, you've got a certain time frame to mold it and do stuff with before it starts setting up. So if you haven't got the time, or your glue sticks run out, or your hot glue gun jams, don't worry about it. You can always add to it later. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to put another little heart down here. Out on the market, they have some glue guns that are automated. So when you press like you have to do with the regular glue gun, you don't get those thick and thin lines on it. But I actually kind of like that because I think it adds to the character. Because I just try to keep it simple. It doesn't really bother me. Okay, so now I've done another one. And I'm just going to flip my craft sheet over. I'm going to smush it down again. And remember, you don't press hard. Just use a book. I thought, you know, I've used a roller before, but I find the book gives a nice even little pressure on it. And you don't want to flatten it too thin. You just want to just press it down so you know you've got a flat top and bottom on it. Because if you keep it flat on the top and bottom, you have the option to flip it over whatever project that you're working on too, to get it to look or face the way that you want it to look. If you kept it rounded, you wouldn't be able to do that. You could to an extent, but you wouldn't get the crisp edge. Okay, it's set up. So now I've added to it. And I've got two hearts here. Two joined hearts. Isn't that cute? And you can see it's nice and flat on both sides. So with that option, I can have it face in any direction that I want it to face in. And then once again, there's, you know, some nubbies here and stuff. I'll just trim them off. If you have real tiny scissors, you can get in there and do a little more intricate work in it. Another nice thing that you can do with the glue gun is you can write letters. So let's do a B. I'm going to do a B. And then you can use these for stencils. The one thing about this project is you do go through an awful lot of glue. You just have to keep that glue gun primed and flowing. But I just think it's really cute because you can reuse these. Okay, so I got a BE. I'm going to put my craft sheet back on top of it, flatten it down, press lightly. You can spell any words you want to. Make your own stencils that way. I guess they're not really a stencil. I guess they're called more a mask. And also when you trim, if you do trim up anything, or let's say you make something that you don't like the look of, don't throw the glue away. We can always remelt that glue. So put it off to the side, and I'm going to have another segment on what to do with all those leftover glue pieces. So just put it off to the side. Okay, waiting for this to set up. Okay, now I've got it set up, and the stem of the bee isn't as thick as I want it, so I'm going to go back over and add to it. And then I'll just smush it down again. So the thing I like about this is that, you know, it's not rocket science, and you can add to as much as you want, take away by cutting. Works both ways. Wait for that to set up. If you haven't got a craft sheet, you can use like parchment paper, but I found that the hot glue does stick to it, but it'll peel off of it with no problem. It's just best if you've got some kind of non-stick surface to work on. I don't advocate going out and buying one of these things, but they really are handy to have. And the nice thing about them, no matter what project you work on, nothing's going to stick to it. If you paint on it, you can always rub the paint off. They're just handy little sheets to have. Okay. So I've got a B. Here's a B. It could even be a P. And then once again, I got some wonky stuff on here I'm going to trim up. Okay, that's kind of a cute little B. Now the E came out really, really yucky, and I'm not happy with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put that in my recycle glue pile. And when I get enough pieces of glue, like I said, we're going to have another segment, and I'll show you what we can do with that. Another thing that you can do is you can always write with a Sharpie and spell your words out if you don't want to freehand it yourself. Just get yourself a Sharpie, write on your craft sheet. Spell the word love. That doesn't look too much like love. There you go. Okay, now I'm just going to follow that as my guide. So you can basically spell out anything you want. Now you have the option of leaving this in the rounded area, which means that you could use it as an embellishment, or you could use it as a stamp. There's all sorts of things that you can do with this. They're just not masks. So I'm just putting my glue down, following my pattern. Almost makes me want to go and invest in one of those auto ones. I had a problem with my glue gun the other day. I don't know what happened to it, but it just started coming out the back end, all the hot glue. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to let this dry. So I'm going to pause it now while this dries. Okay, it's all set up now, so we're going to peel it off. And I left it domed. I didn't flatten it down with a book. Okay, so now we have the word love. Isn't that sweet? The one thing about when you make the letters flat, if you are into jelly plating, when you do a jelly plate, you everything is done in the reverse. What you see on your jelly plate, what you actually pull off is the opposite of what you see, and it's the backward part of it. So if you did your letters flat, you'd be able to turn them around so you would be reading backwards. So when you made your pull off of it, it would be right side. So that's one of the reasons I like to do the letters flat. Here's some other letters that I made. A, B, C. And I kept them domed. And then another love that I spelled out, which is kind of cute because I put a little heart down at the bottom of it. Now, this could actually be used as a stamp. Anytime you make a mask, you can also use a mask as a stamp. Now, it's not as clear and crisp as a regular stamp, but that's okay. It just depends on the project that you're on. I thought this was really cute because I did like the little heart down there on the bottom. And then this is the love that we just did. And then here's the little double heart that we did. And just to show you that you can do so much more, here's some other ones that I made. Here's the star. Another heart. This was just a whole bunch of circles that I smushed together, and it's nice and flat. So this would make a real nice mask with painting over, or like I said, doing jelly plate over, or even spraying over it with ink. Nice and flat. And then I made this, which I just love. It's all sorts of squares. This would be a great mask to use. And then another heart. And circles. Circles are fun because you can add to them. You can make a whole bunch of different circles. You can keep going around and around and around instead of just a plain circle. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got some other little things on it. This is just a, I don't know, just a mess, but it'll make an interesting pattern. And then I made a little flower. You can make flowers too. Just loop them around and you've made yourself a little flower. How cute is that? So once again, crafters, if you have anything left over, things that you don't like, save your scraps. I'm going to show you what to do with them in a later episode. I hope that you enjoyed this and that you'll start using your glue gun and think of it in different ways, because it's so much fun to make so many cute little things. Make them as embellies, just, you know, like I said, use them as masks. There's so much fun, and they're pretty much permanent. I mean, if you don't like what you've done, once again, just put it off to the side, and I'll show you what we're going to do with that later. So, thanks, crafters, for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this segment of KISS, Keep It Simple Sylvia, and I'll see you again next week when we do some more glue, glorious glue. Bye for now.